Guys, I'm going to talk to you in a minute about all the things to do with going online, about not just how to spot a fake, but how to worry about how authentic do you actually have to be as a person? You know, how real do you have to be? Do you have to do this, like this version that I'm doing now, which is like, it's called I've got goggle marks around my eyes because I've just been doing laps at a swimming pool. So, and there's like no makeup look. You don't have to necessarily do that. But things seem to swing between, you know, there's a lot of fakes out there and you can feel it. Australians in particular can feel it if there's, actually all humans can feel it. You can feel it if something's fake. And then there's the opposite, that you can go totally, hang on one sec, the phone's just going to jitter because I don't have my tripod because I'm at my partner's house today. So then there's the total opposite to being like, you know, totally authentic then there's the total opposite to being like all kind of super polished, and that's like being super authentic and, you know, crying and whatever else. So I think there's a little bit of a fallacy around what you actually need to do in terms of how to launch an online business. So I want to discuss that. It's going to refer to my points. So we're going to talk about fakes and frauds versus actually being authentic, and where can you fit yourself in between the realm of that so that you can actually get some traction and get things to work. And I want to discuss the core principles about what it is between all the difference in products and packages, from apps to ebooks to growing your email list to launching a membership site. And what is it that you actually need to do to start? Because there is so much conversation, and especially that I've even had with people this week, about where do I start? I think I should start with an app. I think I should start with an ebook. I'm not sure if I should build a membership site and have a blah, blah, blah. Whereas I think that these are actually just words that we throw around when you're a really good technician and you're really good at coaching people and you're not quite sure where to start and what to start with and what to do exactly. So I want to cover that as well so that you've really got, I guess, some tactics. And I'm going to super simplify things. Not only because that's important, and honestly, please know that this is the tip of the iceberg, but I hope it clears up a lot of stuff for you, because I could literally talk for like 90 minutes on this, and I will one day when I get my tripod and I remember to bring it over here. Online is tough. It's a full-time job. Yes, Diana, it is another job. It is another animal. It is another baby. It is another project. It is another section of your business. So you get to treat it exactly like that. And while we're on that for a moment, the reason, and actually I'll talk about that as far as time, because you've got to look at how much time you've got. If you're going from being a face-to-face technician where you're seeing people, and how real is this video? Like, I'm actually resting my arm on a bloody pot plant because I don't have my tripod, so my arm's killing. Anyway, so if you're spending a lot of time doing, like, you feel like you're probably spending a lot of time running around doing things that aren't really that important because they don't seem to be getting a result, and all of a sudden, months later, you're still, I don't know, distributing ebooks or doing something, you know, something like that. It takes so much more time setting up auto response. Yeah, exactly. It actually does. So actually, just while we're on that point, Dinah, I'm glad you brought it up. One of the things to start with is actually, if you look at a low versus a high-end product, the thing to start with so that you've got some breathing space for yourself is a higher end product. And I don't mean sending people to a sales page and expecting them to click the link and download the thing and pay like $2,000 or $3,000 for it. That's obviously not going to happen. But your conversion rate in that space will be high if you speak to people on the phone, because yes, ebooks and sending people to sales pages and all that kind of stuff is actually the really, really long road. And I'm going to just write down for myself, I'm going to make sure I put near this video, if you're watching the replay, I'm going to put, there's a podcast that I did recently called What I Wish I Knew in 2012 about going online. And it's about all the different versions of online that you can have, that there's no should, by the way. That's the other thing, is you really get to work with however your personality works. But if you were going with the low-end version of ebooks and membership sites and opt-in lists and all that kind of stuff, then I hope you're very much an introvert that actually likes to sit at a computer, because it means that that's what you're going to be doing for the majority of your business, and that might work for you, might not. High ticket is great. The market is saturated. Good point. I guess we'll talk about that in a second. I'm not quite sure what market you're talking about. Where have you seen, or where do you feel like the market's saturated? Because this is the thing with you guys, is if you're an experienced coach, you have an organic network. Forget Facebook for a second. Forget fucking social media at all. You don't forget it doesn't exist. You have a natural organic network of hundreds, if not thousands of people that you've made over the years. And they potentially love you and can't work with you anymore, right? So they're the first people that will buy those things. I guess they might also click on an app to download as she binds things, or Kayla It signs things, or Michelle Bridges, or whoever is the local online person in your country if you're watching this. High ticket market is great. Low end, $39 per month, etc. Okay, let me come back to that. I want to talk about where do you sit in between fakes and frauds versus being authentic. Now, if you're to get a cold market in to buy your stuff, the easiest way to make content literally is you have to turn the video on. Thanks, Donna. You have to turn the video on. The only reason I started making videos in approximately 2012 was because it was easier and faster for me than it was to write a blog, because I still was writing a blog, and the only reason I was writing a blog was because I told my girlfriend that owned an organic veggie delivery business, I told her that I would submit my article and I would be part of her newsletter. And that article was just a blog post, right? Because her link then came back to my website. And then I was sitting around a couple of years later going, why hasn't this helped me get more clients? This hasn't helped me get more clients. You know why? Because I didn't make offers for any products. I didn't put a call to action on any of my stuff. So that's one thing that you actually need to do. You can put out your content, but at the end of it, you can say, here's my stuff. If you want to buy it, that's called a call to action. If you don't do that, you can forget about having a business online. It's not unethical. It's not too salesy. It's actually just a friggin' rule, and you have to get over it and you have to put your stuff out. The thing that turns people off, I will tell you the truth here, think about yourself. When you're scrolling, if a certain business page or a certain person keeps putting up a one image of, I'm running a 12-week challenge, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. If they keep putting up posts about that, that's annoying, because it's not helpful content. So why would you be inclined to look at their stuff? Why would you read their stuff? You don't even know if their stuff can help you. So it's kind of the same as somebody knocking on your door with a brochure saying, hey, come join our church, or it's also like them inboxing you constantly saying, hey, I saw that you do this thing. You might also like this thing, and you might also be into fitness. So I think you should sell my supplements. How many of those messages do you get? We get bombarded with those in the health industry, right? So just putting out posts that say, buy my stuff, that's kind of rude and it won't work. But if you put out helpful stuff and you put a call to action at the bottom, that's totally legal. And I mean legal as in it's not unethical and it's not going to turn people off. So you get over yourself. I promise it works for now, because things seem to change every couple of years, and it works. And if you don't, second thing is, if you don't start making some content and putting yourself out there, eventually in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, however, or 2, 3, 4, 5 months, when you have something to sell, there will be nobody to buy it. It will be crickets. As in, you'll put the thing out there and you're like, I'm just waiting for people to buy my stuff. And then they don't buy it because there's nobody there, because nobody knows that you did the thing. Now, it's tip of the iceberg. I could go on about this topic for a while, but there are two things that you need to do. You need to put some stuff out there that's helpful for people. Otherwise, they won't know that you exist. And yep, you've got to be patient. And you need to put a call to action on stuff. Now, what is this call to action thing? That just means you tell people what to do at the end. And if you're telling people to call you, then they're not going to call you, just so you know. If you're telling people to email you, they're probably not going to get off the Facebook platform. And do that. You've just literally got to tell them what to do. So if any of this resonates with you, then send me a message, stuff like that. And by the way, even with this, if you want to know how to simplify this stuff for yourself and do it in 3 months instead of 3 years, then send me a message. Now, the second point I wanted to cover. Now, see, I can riff because I like talking and I'm used to public speaking and stuff, but I've even still got a few notes here, because if I don't, I'll ramble even more. But guess what? Rambling's totally okay, because I wouldn't have had a business for 20 years if you couldn't ramble. So that doesn't matter. So we're going to put that back in the first box of talking about being perfect and not worrying about being too perfect and shiny and like following a script versus being authentic. So, and you've got to sit somewhere in between that's comfortable for you. Personally, I don't love those ads that are popping up on YouTube at the moment with people in swimming pools with laptops talking about the laptop lifestyle. Now, I don't really think that much about them. They don't really trigger me, but someone mentioned that to me today, actually, about how that's not. They don't like how that makes them feel. So, and to be honest, it's a little bit fake, isn't it? Because who does their Excel spreadsheets or whatever marketing they're doing while they're in a pool with a $4,000 computer right next to the edge? Nobody. And I don't like being in the pool and doing my spreadsheets or anything on the computer at the same time, because generally I'm wet. Anyway, so I like to be in the pool when I'm in the pool. So you know the ads that I'm talking about. Okay, so let's talk about the thing that you're actually going to potentially offer. And this is where apps and ebooks fit in versus membership sites versus think about the scale of how much people are paying for your content. So they're either paying, it's either free or low end, and low end meaning it's under $50 a session or a week or whatever. Then you kind of get into medium, which is, again, there's no rules for this. Like, I'm just throwing these numbers out there, right? So you've got a concept. Then you get into medium end, which is around, I guess, $51 to $150 a week or something like that. Then there's higher end, meaning the person might pay a couple of $1,000s for you to help them with their transformation. Now, I guess this information that I'm about to tell you is more for the people who know that they are really good at helping people get transformations. So it's probably not for you if you're a newish coach and you doubt your services. Having said that, I know experienced coaches doubt their services as well, and we all get overwhelmed sometimes with imposter syndrome, but that is cured by turning on the camera and putting your stuff out and actually helping people and not focusing on that stuff. Because if you really have been helping people with their bodies or health or life or whatever it is you do, if you've been helping them for a few years, you know that the truth is that you can help people get a result. If that's the truth. That's the other thing that's the core issue of all this stuff is that we actually just need to tell the truth. I always presume people are telling the truth because I'm always telling the truth, but that's I don't know if it's a flaw. My parents always thought it was a flaw. It's just how he is, how I am. It's just how it is. Sorry. So clearly rambling is totally legal as well. So in terms of high end, I don't believe that you should be charging a large amount for your services if you don't really know how to solve somebody's problem. Now, there's a couple of podcasts that I've made on this actual content. There's one about charging money and understanding your worth. That's a really good one and to do with this. And it's really, really important to actually understand the benefits that you're helping the person with, because you are literally saving them in some cases. Okay, not only from the emotional distress, but maybe they've got to buy new clothes. Maybe they've been seeing counselors. Maybe they've developed some kind of addiction because they're not actually addressing the underlying cause, which we all know is the reason that they're not getting the result that they want anyway. Because, if you train properly and you eat properly, you get the result. But it's not actually a straight line for most clients, as we know, because most of our clients are girls. And it's not a straight line for most girls. And I might be generalizing, but you know what I mean. Take me with a grain of salt and apply it however you like. My point is, if you're a coach and you actually know what you're doing, I don't care whether anything's saturated, like the pool's saturated with water. It's not, the internet is saturated. In fact, that would be my first suggestion, is put the blinkers on to the internet, to the rest of what everybody else is doing. You know those little things that the horses wear when they're running? Put those on and stop watching what everybody else is doing, because that's how you even know that it's saturated, because then you start to compare yourself with what everybody else is doing, and then you probably think that you need a funnel and you need this and you need whatever else that you need. You don't actually need that stuff. You need to have an offer, and ideally you don't put the price out online, but you talk to people about it. it's actually that freaking hard. And there's a video that I've made in my Facebook group for coaches about the first time an offer came out of my mouth for a product and service package that was worth $3,000. Now, the lady in America that I was talking to actually said no, but every cell in my body changed that day and I felt it. And it's a very, very interesting story. So I'll make sure there's a link to that group and you can watch that video. The other things that I've got coming up, if you want to be able to work with me, there's another group that I will link to if you're a beginner personal trainer and you want to learn the fundamentals, and I mean tens of thousands of dollars worth of material. There's a 6-week course. It's not launched yet, but I'm going to put you into the group and then you will be the first to find out about that. It's launching soon. And that's going to go for 6 weeks, and that's live, and that's working with me over 6 weeks. And you're going to get everything to make you stand apart. You can even launch high-end if you want when you're in there, but really you need to stand apart. So and you need to learn. We're going to do everything from systems backend and paperwork and all that dry yuck stuff to how to train to actually get them a result, like in literally a couple of weeks. Because when somebody's doing the right thing for their body and their motivation level and all that stuff, when they're changing the right habits, they will get a result quite quickly, and you will get a really good reputation, and you will end up with a wait list, and then you won't need to worry about ebooks and all that stuff anyway. But you've got to think about what the aim is and what the purpose is. So with online, really, what's the aim and the purpose? Like, what's your aim and your purpose? Think about that from that perspective of, I'd like my life to be however you'd like it to be. If you'd really like it to be, in a pool with a laptop by the pool, then you could do that as well. Or you could talk to your clients on the phone and just kind of help them with the transformations as well. And you could do some face-to-face as well. With my clients, I'm always talking about, okay, let's come back to how do you actually want, your year and your month to run, and what do you enjoy? Because some people are extroverts and they can talk, make videos easy, do seminars, workshops and all that stuff easy. And some people are better at the tech, and that's okay too. But it really has, when you're building whatever you're building, it's got to fit in with how you do stuff. So it is a little bit easier for yourself. Maybe I'm just lazy and I've always liked it to be that way for myself. But 20 years ago when I got into the corporate world in IT, I just remember thinking, sorry, my old boss, if you're watching this, and I loved the people that I worked with, but I just hated the industry. I didn't like going to work. I just knew that there's no way that I was going to be able to catch that train for 90 minutes and do that whole routine like everybody else on the train station seemed to be doing. So then I thought I'll fix it by moving closer to the city. So then I lived pretty much in Sydney CBD and went to work. Still didn't fix the problem. Hated going to work. I thought, I've got to fix this problem. I've got to do something I like. So the whole time, the reason I guess I've tried so many different things, even within the fitness and health industry, because I'm a massage therapist as well. I've had clinics and all that stuff. The reason I've tried all that stuff is, I guess, I'm always searching, I'm always learning, but it's purely for my own enjoyment. So I totally also believe, this is off topic a little bit, but that your work gets to be enjoyed. So if you're not doing something that you like, then change it. And I have this expression that I said on another video the other day: if you don't like something, move, because you're not a tree, as wonderful as trees are. So if any of that resonates with you, or you have more questions, send me a message, but I'm going to make sure I go back and put the links that I've spoken about near this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Go turn the camera on.